Welcome in then to ESPN FC Live. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Stevie Nicol as we reflect on quite the game at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland 2, Arsenal 2. So many things to talk about, Stevie. But I
Mm.
think the main one is what a great match.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Do you know? To be honest, I'm sitting watching it. I'm thinking this is more reminiscent of 15, 20 years ago, maybe even my time. I mean, it was a real physical battle. I mean, the amount of head injuries in the first half alone tells you that this really was about high balls and challenges and tackles. And listen, we love to watch lovely silky football, but you can't beat a battle as well. And this from start to finish, 100% was a battle. Both sides given nothing, both sides given absolutely everything. And in the end, you got to say that for all the endeavour and the heart and the soul that Sunderland put in it, they probably just about deserved the point.
Yeah, I think after we saw that great goal from Trossard, you thought, here we go. But to be fair to Sunderland, they showed great character, heads didn't drop.
Mm.
And with Granit Xhaka in midfield, they weren't allowed to slack off.
Yeah, there's no question. If anybody thought that all the talk around Xhaka coming back to the Premier League and being this leader, and sometimes it can be overdone. But if you didn't believe it, then you better believe it now. Because today, 100%, he was talking, cajoling, pushing. He was doing everything for his teammates. I mean, you talk about showing his experience. At the same time, the equaliser. After Sunderland went ahead in the first half and really just didn't give an inch to Arsenal. They just. I spoke earlier on and a couple of weeks ago talking about how Arsenal are possibly the most physical team in Europe, or the biggest and strongest. Well, today we found another one because Sunderland was big and strong. And actually, the way the equaliser came about disappointed me because, particularly in that first half, Sunderland didn't overplay, didn't try and be too clever from coming out from the back. They played good balls forward. They weren't just kicking it. They were actually dropping balls into Isidore, who was great holding the ball up with Gabriel and Saliba all over him. And then in the second half, when they try to play it out short, and Taliba gives it away, and the ball ends up in the back of the net with Saka with a good finish at the near post. You kind of smelt trouble. And then, as you said, Trossard seconds. It's a beautiful strike. And probably the only time in this game where, from a defensive point of view, Sunderland didn't close the ball properly. And he got half a yard. And my goodness, he buried it. But, as you said with your question, the changes were made for Sunderland. Again, bringing on strength. I mean, Brobbey is a handful. He's a big boy. And and he didn't waste any time in letting Saliba and Gabriel know he was there, and his finish was fantastic. Again, from a fight ball into the box, just as their first one was a fight ball, the equaliser was as well. And of course, we thought that was it. But last gasp, Arsenal, Calafiori with a header at the back post. Goalkeeper's done well, giving it the Schmeichel star jump. The ball's come out, and then Sunderland have got bodies in front of it to block. I think it was Eze's shot. So referee's whistle went, and great game to watch. Full of good old-fashioned fight, desire, challenges. Some good football from Arsenal. Maybe a little slow making the passes at times, but they played a lot of good football. So yeah, I agree with 100%. It was a good game, and probably just about the right result.
Was the arguments at the end from Gabriel that probably was a high boot?
Yes.
But Gabriel was quite low. He was shorter than me.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, when the ball goes in your net, Dan, the first thing you can think about is how can I complain about something to try and change the referee's mind. Unfortunately, not only you got to convince the referee, but you got to convince VAR as well. And that wasn't happening. There was nothing wrong with the goal. There really wasn't that much contact from Brobbey on Gabriel. And if anything, it was probably Raya in goal that caught Gabriel more than Brobbey.
The last two seasons, of course, have seen the three teams that have been promoted from the Championship go straight back down. Sunderland look very much the exception to the rule. What can others learn from what we've seen from Sunderland so far when you're playing the likes of Arsenal, or have they recruited specifically for this type of style?
Wow. Well, I think the lesson to be learned is that, in terms of the physicality, you've got to fight fire with fire. If
Right.
you let Arsenal dominate you physically, then you're getting nothing from the game. And this Sunderland side showed that you have to stay strong with them and you have to give as good as you get. And that doesn't mean that you're dirty. It doesn't mean that you're throwing in the old dark arts, as they call them. It's just about good, honest endeavour and courage. And so that's the big message to every other team. When you're challenging, make sure you're challenging with the desire and the courage that's actually going to come the other way, because that's exactly what Arsenal do.
If you're Arteta, what's your big takeaway from this game?
That's a tough one. I mean,
Are you disappointed? Are you taking that point? Like, obviously, you were so close to coming back and getting the win to extend your lead at the top of the table. How much is this 2 points dropped, or how much you turn the page and go, look, it's a tough place to go. We've seen that already this season. It may only be Sunderland, but it's going to be very difficult for teams to come here and dominate. So
yeah.
you kind of think, right, move on to the next one.
Yeah, initially you're going to be disappointed. Initially, it's thought it's going to be you threw 2 points away. But then once all the emotions taken out of it and you look at it in the cold light of day, you certainly did enough in football terms to win the game. You were the better side in terms of football. You can't question the commitment. And at the end of the day, the 2 goals they lost, from a coaching point of view, are nothing to do with anything other than just a little bit unfortunate. The other team just got a flick on it. It really does depend how you lose goals. If you're losing goals by getting played through, if you're losing goals by teams just being too quick for you, too strong, too whatever, But at the end of the day, the 2 goals have come from balls thrown in the box, basically, nothing other than that. And so, yes, you can be disappointed. You don't win the first header, or you don't win the second ball. But if that's the only problem you have, then it's not the worst problem to have. And again, as you said, they'll understand that any team now coming to Sunderland is going to have to be at the very best in order to beat Sunderland.
So this hasn't planted too many seeds of doubt when it comes to Arsenal going all the way.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. No. Listen, Arteta knows that they weren't going to win every single game between now and the end of the season. He knows that there's going to be bumps in the road, and if it's going to be a bump, then this is about the easiest one to take.
Stephen, thank you very much. I know you've got to go off now to the ESPN FC studios.
Yeah.
Of course, that live tonight on ESPN Plus. Not only more reflections on this Arsenal game, but United's draw against Spurs, plus Bayern Munich dropping their first points of the season.